Hello and welcome to That's the Point. My name is Corey Meyer and I'm here with my on-screen bud, Jonathan Stickle. What's up, man?
Not too much. Glad to be here.
Hey, you're my bud in real life too. It's not just a TV thing.
That's
we don't
right.
just do this for TV. So this time, just like every episode, our goal is to talk about construction technology, but this episode we're going to specifically talk about something that's a little bit more pedestrian, slightly less niche. Today we're talking about Wi-Fi.
That's right. We got a juicy topic for you today.
Absolutely.
So whether you love it or hate it, Wi-Fi is part of our daily life now. And wireless networks provide a ton of benefits for construction users. I mean, no cables, you don't have to stand right next to your gear. There's a lot of advantages, but here's the thing. It's still Wi-Fi, and we're still on construction sites, which can be challenging for signals.
And, you know, that really matches up to my experience where in most cases, especially in construction, like Wi-Fi just works. And that's not what we're talking about. On the good days, this is not what this video is about. We're talking about the other side of the spectrum, right? So
yeah, exactly. So what if you're getting a poor range or poor signal reception and your tablet, scanner, or RI is right next to each other? That's what we're looking at today.
yeah, and that's a good point because we should note that we're talking specifically about Wi-Fi and FieldLink, and specifically FieldLink 6.9. We're talking about the latest release today, which is the latest as the time of this video. But RTS and Trimble's, traditional 2.4 gigahertz radios, that's a whole different thing. We're not talking about the traditional RTS like 573, 773, 873. So today we're talking about Wi-Fi and specifically the X series and the RI as they oppose to connection and poor signal quality.
Yeah, and most of the time, FieldLink will find the optimal setup, but you can also tweak these settings directly on the tablet.
Yeah, you can. And that is the good news, is most of the time, like, we shouldn't even have to think about this because the Wi-Fi works and it just works great, right? This is for those challenges when you just go into an environment and you just have, it's just a bad Wi-Fi environment. We've all been there. And that's what we're gonna dig into here. So what we have is we have an X7, it's connected right up to the tablet already. And if we jump into it, we can actually find the Wi-Fi settings real quickly. So we're just gonna go to the device and we're just gonna tap on settings. And in the previous video, we actually talked about the format SD card. Well, we're gonna go look right to the left of that. And we're gonna have our three main Wi-Fi settings that we can now change. We have our Wi-Fi band, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then if it's an automatic or 5 gigahertz, we also have Wi-Fi indoor only and Wi-Fi DFS. So we're first gonna concentrate on the Wi-Fi band. And if we bring up this drop down, we see that we have three options. Automatic, which again, lets FieldLink do what it believes to be the best connection. But we've also got two locked out options to restrict the spectrum to either 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. Now, as we look at this, 2.4 gigahertz is more of the legacy kind of frequency spectrum for Wi-Fi. It's the one that we all started with. The nice thing about it is, and you can see in the drawing below, like it definitely goes further. It has more of a resilience for distance and range, so you get good range out of it. Problem is you have less throughput. Whereas the 5 gigahertz, which is the more modern kind of spectrum, it's great because we could transfer huge amounts of data very quickly over Wi-Fi, but the problem is the range is pretty significantly diminished. It's much more susceptible to walls and obstructions and stuff like that. If you're in an environment, you're trying to get as far as you possibly can, it makes sense that maybe you want to take this and just limit it to 2.4 gigahertz if you're very far away from your scanner or your RI. And by the same token, if you're just trying to transfer files, you're standing right next to it, there's nothing wrong with just limiting yourself to that 5 gigahertz spectrum. So as we look over, that being said, then you have the Wi-Fi indoor only checkbox. If we check that, it'll configure your sensor and the tablet to indoor only mode, which is gonna kind of do its best to kind of reject a lot of the other networks that might be floating around there, the network congestion. It's really gonna try its best to really hone in on the strongest signals and keep lock on those and hopefully reject a little bit more of that stuff that we can sometimes see in heavy, maybe like hospital construction environments, stuff where we have a lot of networks going on. And then the final one is the Wi-Fi DFS. DFS stands for, here we go, it's a dynamic frequency selection. That's kind of a nerdy way of saying that it does expand the frequency range within the 5 gigahertz spectrum a little bit, gives the radio a little bit more room to operate, and in some conditions, you can get a more robust signal in challenging environments. So any of those three, there's really no right or wrong way to do this. It's pretty much just a try it out, kind of audition, see if it does any better. If you like version B better than version A, leave it on version B. But that is kind of the settings that we have within FieldLink now for Wi-Fi to change on the fly with the sensor or scanner.
Well, and there you have it. The more you know.
I know.
So it's interesting how often just a simple tweak can turn a frustrating Wi-Fi environment into a completely usable Wi-Fi environment. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your local Building Point representative As always, smash that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest tips, tricks, and pointers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on That's the Point.